a lot of guys you were with before, but you get them in that type of a game. How much fun was that? Could you tell they were amped up more than normal from the other spring games?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you're buried in spring training for as long as we are, sometimes any type of game that breaks monotony of spring training is a good environment and a good opportunity for them to really dust it off and play a game-like scenario. So yeah, that was a lot of fun for the guys. And like I said, I think more than anything, I mean, we were playing the Reds, who we play, I feel, 5,000 times in spring training. But at the end of the day, it is a chance to put a uniform on and compete a little bit for 7 or 8 innings. So it was good.
Nice. The fans stuck around for it after the long first game.
Yeah, decent crowd for sure. Especially as a night game out there, it gets chilly, as you know, at night, and most folks out in Arizona aren't used to the cold weather. So it was a good environment for the players. Like I said, it was a good walkthrough for what's to come here in early April.
Talk about Chase DeWater a little bit. Huge breakout season over spring.
Yeah, I mean, a fantastic spring for him. He really showed that he belongs on the field with the big boys, and let's hope that continues when the lights are on here, when the standings count and the scores count. Certainly not to discredit everything that he did in the spring. I think if anything, it shows him, it proves to himself that he belongs, and for those around him at the big league level, the guys that saw him every day, I think there's some excitement certainly surrounding him as a person and him as a player.
How do you think a couple of players on the team hanging around the big guys up there in the majors influence your team?
I just think the ability to see the effort that they put forth every day, their attention to detail and the intent with which they work is huge. You'll see here, and if you've done any homework on me, I think the amount of work that we put in on the field is probably second to none. It's good to see them have an opportunity to watch the guys at the elite level do that every single day, and again, their attention to detail and their focus every single day, that every single rep matters. And for these guys that are so close that they can taste it, it's good for them to see that in spring and be able to hopefully lean on those tenets and values that they saw early in spring and use that throughout the course of the season.
Chase seems so well-grounded for a guy whose ceiling is pretty high.
Yeah, and again, I think part of that is, he comes from from James Madison, where he probably wasn't playing in front of 15,000 people every single night. In fact, I know that he wasn't, having been in that league as a college coach way back in the day. I think he goes about his work the right way. He's a true professional, and he is where his feet are. I think that's a big piece of any young player who's tasted some success, that you want to be where your feet are, and hopefully have a chance to build on that every single day that you come out to the yard.
Coach, what are some expectations for not only you but the team heading into this year?
Yeah, expectation is it's a scary word, right? It's that's really all it is expectations. So for me, just worrying about what we can control, and it's coming out here every single day and working really hard and outworking the person sitting next to you and the team in the other dugout, and wanting to be here more than anybody else. And those are expectations that I have, that you're going to friggin' compete every single day. When the lights are on, the scoreboard's on, it's going to matter. And your job as an athlete, no matter what you're doing, is to tilt that scoreboard in your favor. Obviously, being a great teammate is super important to us. We talk about leading all the time, but one of the things we talk a lot about is it's impossible to be a good leader if you're not a good teammate first. So those are the expectations that you'll see here. Guys that would come out here every single night for 100 and whatever games we play, 138 games, and compete their tails off.
The Guardians have the first pick in the draft. I know it's in the future, we don't know who it's going to be, but does it give you kind of a little excitement knowing that you'll be able to eventually possibly guide that player on their path?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's excitement throughout the organization for sure, that you have a chance to, if you do your homework and you do it right, that you have a difference maker somewhere along the lines. But my concern obviously is all the dudes out here in white pants right now. That's all I'm concerned about. It doesn't matter who the number one pick is, and it might be a little while before they find their way through Akron or Lake County or Columbus for that matter. But my concern right now is to treat every single one of these guys like they're the number one pick overall, put them in a position where they can help Cleveland win a World Series at some point down the road.
First game of the season coming up. What's a couple of main points you want to see out of your guys Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, I want to see them have fun, to be honest with you. Hopefully they can come out here and we've talked a lot about competing and a lot about what that looks like when the lights are on. I'd like them to come in here and have fun and start to become one with each other as a team, to be quite frank. It's really hard. I don't think we've all been on the same field together in spring training, to be quite frank. You have pitchers in one area. I don't know if you know the dynamics of how spring training works, but you got guys in different games, and you got sim games going on, and you got games over at the White Sox, some games at home, and I haven't really had a chance to address the team in full even yet. I mean, I got in pretty late last night, so I didn't have a chance yet to really sit down and chat with our group collectively outside of spring training for 5 minutes before we all broke camp. So I'd like them to just go in here and be themselves and have fun. And my job as a coach, and our job as a staff, is to make sure that we get to know each player individually and know that we care more about the player in the front of that baseball card than the numbers on the back. And if we can support them as people first and players second, I think we're going to be in a really good spot to build that trust with them and to push them really hard. And I'll push them really hard. So they know that. Guys that have played for me. I have a lot of guys here that have played for me in the past in Lake County. 2 years ago, that team that we had a lot of success in Lake County 2 years ago. A lot of those faces are here now, so they've been accustomed to me, and I'm accustomed to them and how I operate and what my expectations are. And I know how to push them, how to when to get on them, when to give them a hug when they need to, and when to push them when they need to.
How was Doug Nikhazy selected for the first game?
You're going to have to ask the folks down the road in Cleveland. Ask our pitching group. That's not, so a lot of our rotations, as you know, is not a roundtable discussion. It probably is within our pitching group, but there's so many tentacles and arms that are touching, the ground here in Akron that Dougie's named starter for Friday night, and he deserves it, to be honest with you. I mean, I say that tongue in cheek, but obviously, based on his talent level and how he's improved as a pitcher and his consistency in throwing strikes, I think, obviously his ceiling was tremendously high, but his ability to throw strikes now is he's closed that gap, and that's been fun to see. He made a major jump from where I saw him last. I mean, I had him in Lake County, didn't see him last year because I was in Columbus last year, and now I'm coming back here and have a chance to see him in spring training for the first time in a year. He's a different guy than I saw 12 months ago, so hopefully you see that in 48 hours from now.
To start, how deep are your starters going about so far this season?
Yeah, good question. I mean, we've been building up in spring training. I think you see a couple guys tonight that are going to roll out, 4 or 5 innings tonight. You're probably going to be in that same ballpark. I don't know how much weather will play a factor in that, but a lot of times you see weather coupled with, how long our offensive innings are. Hopefully have some really long offensive innings where it'll be a tough decision to make whether we send a pitcher back out rather than the other way around. So, I think you're going to see hopefully get into some middle innings. And obviously, like I said, if you've done your homework and seen our bullpen, we got a locked and loaded bullpen here in Akron that everybody should be really excited about. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.